we could all rise for the Lord's Prayer, please. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilor Broderick. Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Donahue. Councilor Elliott. Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armand Mercia. Councilor Rita Mercia. Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Ramirez.
Here.
Okay, Chair recognizes Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd ask my colleagues for a moment of silence with darkened chambers for Raymond Foy. Mr. Foy was a loving and dedicated husband, father, grandfather. Mr. Foy was a decorated World War II veteran who served this country in the United States Navy during the Second World War, stationed in San Diego, Australia, and New Guinea with the 7th Fleet. An avid golfer, a great entertainer, a great person, and the city was much better off for Raymond Foy's presence. May he rest in peace.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Kelly Brooks. She was a lifelong resident of Belvedere, passed away after a courageous battle with breast cancer. She was the daughter of Paul and Mary Ann Keefe, sister of Sharon and Kim Keefe, and the beloved wife of Billy Brooks and dedicated mother of Emma and Molly Brooks. She was a graduate of Lowell High School, where she was a captain of the track team, two-time Lowell Sun All-Star, and was an avid golfer, was the honorary captain at the Women's City Golf Tournament. And more importantly, she was a tremendously devoted mother who enjoyed watching her daughters play and grow, and she will be tremendously missed by her friends and family. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could just also add, I've known both Mr. Foy and Kelly Brooks since high school, and she did indeed fight a courageous battle with cancer and is rightly proud of the family she leaves behind, and certainly will be truly missed here in Lowell. May they rest in peace. We have two presentations to begin the meeting. I would like to take the second one first, if there's no objection. This is a proclamation to be presented to Barbara Peters for Children's Mental Health Month. I would like to read the proclamation and then invite Ms. Peters up to speak. Whereas the Surgeon General of the United States reports that 1 in 10 youth have mental health problems, and in fact, more youth suffer with psychiatric illness than from leukemia, diabetes, and AIDS combined. Children's mental health problems can have grave consequences such as school failure, family discord, alcohol, and other drug use and violence each year. And whereas every adult in our city has a positive influence on the lives of children around them through their efforts as parents, grandparents, neighbors, friends, counselors, teachers, and members in organizations, churches, and businesses. And whereas the National Mental Health Association indicates the necessity of immediate and wide-ranging changes in our recognition, acceptance, and service delivery to those in need. Now I, therefore, William F. Martin, Jr., as mayor, do hereby proclaim the month of May is Children's Mental Health Month and encourage all citizens to join in efforts to help in this effort, given this second day of May 2006. Congratulations to those of you who are working with children in this field, and would invite you to come up and accept the proclamation and tell us a little bit about your efforts.
Hi, my name is Irene Wagner, and both myself and my husband are raising an 18-year-old daughter with mental illness and have been doing so for 10 years. I'm hoping by having the month of May proclamated as Mental Health Month, people become more aware of what a hard disease it is to live. Whether you have the disease or a friend or family member has it, you don't know what it is to live it on a daily basis. I want to know there will be more resources available or more information about this disease brought out for other people to find out about. If you see a person this month with a green ribbon on, please think of everyone with mental illness. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Peters. I want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we really have worked hard to get as many activities and try to provide opportunities for families to have an open mind and be able to walk through the community and not feel stigmatized. Many families feel very stigmatized, especially the youth that we grow up with, and we need to really support them. Therefore, we would like to share the green ribbons that are on many of your desks and the green bracelet, which represents healthy minds and healthy youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is a presentation from the Mayor's Cultural Task Force to make a presentation to the council. This task force was originally formed by Mayor Armin Mercier and then continued again in January with Councilor Donahue as the chair. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The task force, as you had indicated, was formed by Mayor Armin Mercier, and I think perhaps before the presentation it might be appropriate to hear from Councilor Mercier as to, just by way of information, how the task force came about and why. So I'd yield the floor to Councilor Mercier at this point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you, members of the council, the city manager, administration, and everyone here. It was apparent to me a number of years ago that one of the most important aspects of the quality of life of this city was its cultural aspect. The arts and the cultural world that existed in this city needed to be reassessed, the assets needed to be looked at, and I felt that the sustainability of all of the cultural aspects needed to be looked at and that the city had to play an even bigger role. And so in appointing this task force, I took in consideration the importance of it and named a number of people from the cultural world and asked Councilor Eileen Donahue to chair it. There's been an awful lot of meetings, a lot of input put into this, a lot of work. And although this is an interim report, it's one that we want to continue bringing it forward. And at some point in time, some tough decisions are going to need to be made by the council and the administration as it relates to see that our cultural world is sustained in a manner that is also economic development at its best. The success of this city has been for many things, a lot of partnerships, but the cultural world as we know it in this city has benefited the city very much, and I hope that this report, which will be presented to you this evening, is something that we can follow through on, even though some of the recommendations are going to call for some gutsy decisions by this council. I want to thank everybody who participated. I know it's all not over, but some of the people who participated are going to be speaking tonight, and I just want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. This meant an awful lot to me as an individual and to the council as a whole, and I just do not want this to become a report that goes on the shelf, as I'm sure it won't. So again, I want to thank Councilor Eileen Donahue and the members of that task force that did an awful lot of work. Again, it's an interim report. It needs to be studied and reevaluated later on, and it's going to require some tough decisions on the part of the City Council that I'm sure they're willing, ready, and able to do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Eileen Donahue.
Thank you.
Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councilor Mercier indicated, the task force as originally appointed and then reappointed by yourself, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just take a moment, and many of the members are here tonight, and just read off their names. They came to many early meetings at 7:30 in the morning in the mayor's reception room, and I want to thank Councilor Mercier and yourself for allowing me to participate and chair, because it really has been an education, learning about so many different aspects of what we have come in the task force to refer to as the culture industry, and it really is an industry and a business in this city now as we've evolved. The members include Mehmet Ali, Jerry Beck, Deb Belanger, Matt Coggins, James Cook, Nancy Donahue, George Duncan, Sharon Gallagher, Jim Higgins, Dave Kronberg, Fernie Lopez, Paul Marion, yourself, Mr. Mayor, before you were the mayor, Tom McKay, Armin Mercier, now and before, Terry O'Connor, Andrew St. Ange, Phony Fetixve, John Power, it should be Betty Santagati, Shonda Soth, and Molly Sheehy. I want to acknowledge them because of all their work and input. A few people, I believe, would like to address the council in order to make this report manageable, because we have met for many, many months and dealt with a number of issues. What we came to realize, as Councilor Mercier has indicated, that we had to come to terms with what are the cultural institutions, what are their needs, what are their assets, what do we have. And in that regard, we looked at the Lowell Cultural Plan, the first one that was done in 1987. There was an update done in 1994, but much has changed in the city since 87 and 94. Mehmet Ali, who will speak in a few minutes, generously through the National Park Service agreed to do a survey of the cultural institutions so that we'd have some information and data to go on. And then in further discussion, the Lowell Plan offered to fund an update of the Lowell Cultural Plan. This funding will be done over the next 6 months or so. The cost to update that, what that means is they have to hire a consultant, which they're paying for, which I believe is somewhere in the $90,000 range, to do a complete update of the Lowell Cultural Plan in 2006. The request for proposals went out to have that done. Those proposals were due back April 13th, I believe, and I believe at the present time a consultant will be chosen in the near future to complete this plan. So that's why this is an interim report, but because of all the things that have been discussed, the task force felt it was important to start to bring the dialogue to the City Council, because much of the action plan, so to speak, will have to be discussed here at length and in depth and dealt with going forward. The most important aspect, of course, is recognizing culture as an industry here in the city. And so I won't go over every single recommendation. I tried to condense it in paragraph form just for the council, for their benefit to see some of the recommendations. Some may be achievable in a short term. Many would have to be achieved over a long-term basis and built on and look toward culture as generating income so that it can, some of the proposals that do cost money can pay for themselves. There was a lot of innovative thinking that we heard in terms of trying to achieve some of these goals, partnering, as Lowell has done so well in the past. We had a meeting last night with the Cultural Roundtable with many, many individual artists from Western Avenue, which now is an astounding property where over 100 artists, and to see the room, standing room only, over at the library was really testament to the fact that not only the institutions here in Lowell, the big, small, medium, but individual artists are all part of the cultural fabric and part of the industry here in Lowell that is going to contribute tremendously to the future. So I would like to, I don't know whether there was a formal registering to speak, but if my colleagues would allow, I think a couple of people would like to just address the council on some of the things the task force has done. So I just moved to suspend the rules to allow people to address the council.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to suspend, say aye. Any opposed? Chair recognizes Mehmet Ali from the National Park Service.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, Mr. Manager. Mehmet Ali, 226 Mount Hope Street. Eileen has alluded to the fact that the creative economy, the world of culture and arts, is our new industry. And Lowell was once known as the workshop of the world, and we all know the famous Mile of Mills that were once here. That's passed by the wayside a long time ago. And half a century ago, leading business people like Homer Bourgeois came before this very council to ask the city to promote some incentives and make some financial investments to create the new industries that reign supreme after the Second World War. Companies like Avco and Raytheon, et cetera. Wang Computers eventually landed in the industrial park on Chelmsford Street due to the foresight and vision of these industrialists and businessmen and city councilors and city leaders that were sitting in these same chairs. We're asking you to take a strong look in these tough budgetary times to see if there is room to have some incentives for the new force. See you here before you tonight, the mechanics of the new industry of the creative economy. And so I'm asking you tonight to be mindful of helping them help the rest of the city and take us to the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Forgot my speech at home. Hi, I'm Jerry Beck from the Revolve Museum, 22 Shattuck Street. Thank you, Mayor, Councilman, City Manager, everybody here, all of my friends and allies. What can I say? I got a phone call 6 months ago from the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm like, whoa, what happened? They said, Jerry, well, I just wanted you to know that you are one of only 2 cultural organizations being highlighted in our annual report. I said, wow, thank you very much. They said, you know, on the national level, not just the creative economy, but how culture is affecting cities. What we've recognized of what's happening with your partnerships with the Revolve Museum, National Park, City of Lowell, all the other arts institutions, the artists, the educational institutions that you worked with, your program had 5,000 people involved with it, and that's extraordinary. And I didn't count them up, but it must have been the numbers my staff sent. And they said, you know what's amazing is that the arts and culture are changing cities. You are creating culture. Culture is creating the economic engine. We want to highlight this because so often on the national level, they don't recognize the kind of catalyst that artists are creating. They're being the pioneers. They're usually exploited in many ways by artist lofts, artist communities that take under-recognized neighborhoods and made safe and beautiful. And then, of course, the gentrification sets in and so forth. Well, the pioneers in Lowell that we have seen and recognized as the city's leaders have you know, they're visionaries. And this has been a conversation now. I mean, it was a long conversation, but it was great that they were engaged for quite a while. And then I realized this is a city of visionaries. This is a city that creative people, whether they're politicians or artists or teachers or young people, have had an opportunity to transform a city and feel so proud of it. And that's how I feel. I feel Lowell is my home. I live here. I get to meet people every day. Everyone has a voice in Lowell, and everyone cares deeply and passionately about it. And I have a great opportunity to get to meet people in every sector of it. And here we are tonight with such incredible, passionate people that know this is their home and know that they want to contribute in every way possible. And when you look at what creativity can do, it is not just a beautiful picture on the wall. It could be a conversation with a young person at the Malloy Alternative School that changes their life around. They want to get to college. It could be a senior that has called me, Jerry, I have never been to a museum, but what are these pictures doing on Merrimack Street? They're the most beautiful thing. I love it. I can't believe it. That's what happens when you put art out there. People recognize it and they appreciate it. Not one of the 24 public art pieces have been vandalized. When I came here, I mean, some of the city people laughed at me, right, John? It's never, you know, and they're my biggest supporters. All of a sudden, people recognize that the arts are playing a vital role, that drawing people here and recognizing, and on a national level, and I feel I'm not exaggerating, we are national leaders. The arts here, the people that you have brought here that have embraced the city, that have recognized the legacy that you have created, the city leaders have created from the new immigrants. The artists are another community that has greatly contributed, that deserves to keep blossoming with the city and work closely with you. And I'm just proud to be able to to look up here and also know many other people representing the cultures from every ethnic background in Lowell that also are putting everything they have in their festivals and working with their young people and so forth, are also part of this team, this vision. And I feel that's what's special about Lowell, and I have no doubt you're going to support this, and I thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Carradini. I'm the president of Lowell Celebrates Kerouac. And I don't want to say too much, but I went over to Germany a couple of years ago to visit a relative of mine, and he showed me a travelogue. And my German isn't very good, but there was a picture of Jack Kerouac and Lowell, and there was, a statement in there. If you come to the United States, this is one of the places to check out. And I was very excited to see that. And I agree with Jerry. I think that, we are a cultural center. We are a destination city. And what's really great and really exciting to me is we have a history with people like Jack Kerouac, but Jerry and other people are bringing, something new and invigorating, and we just have so much excitement going on, and so much that we can take advantage of if we look at it and really see it for what it is, and acknowledge it as an industry. And that, I think, is what the council has to look at. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think one of the, again, without going through all this, one of the things that we look forward to in the updated plan that the Lowell plan will be funding is that connection between culture and economic development and economic benefit here in the city, because the industry of culture really is an economic engine, and that connection can and should be made. But from a political point of view, we need to see that in black and white in order to make some of the decisions that the cultural community, they're here, it is a destination city, and some of the things going forward in balancing it with all the other demands that we have. And in that end, Mr. Manager, as I indicated, we've been speaking for many months now in the task force. The Cultural Roundtable has met, obviously, on a regular basis, talked about the needs of the community at large. But one of the requests, and I guess I'd make it by way of a motion, is that you and the City Council appoint an ad hoc or subcommittee to deal with the cultural industry here in the city, and some of the issues that at this point should move from the task force to the council for purposes of study, review, and discussion. So I'd make that by way of a motion that an ad hoc subcommittee or standing, I'm not sure what the rules require for on the cultural industry in Lowell.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercy to appoint a council subcommittee to take the report of the task force and bring it forward.
Yes.
Anybody to be heard on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I will appoint that committee this week, and we'll take this forward. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to add my 2 cents in as what I think is invigorating, and that is that little piece of National Park Service property down in the corner of Dutton Street, and I see those tremendously large potted flowers, and as I go by, I swear to God they're growing each time I go by, but I think that's truly remarkable, and it's so cute. I actually love that, and I wonder if I could get into the minds of visitors that come here and actually see that and say, oh my God, this is so beautiful. But these are the things that I like, and I also want to express publicly my sincere thanks for the beautiful display in front of the Songus Arena and the rocks and the trophy, and everything was so remarkable and added such a special touch to our international event. So art is the handmaid of human good, and there's nothing better than that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Milonazo? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a member of the Lowell plan, we're very excited about going forward with this plan. Unfortunately, Jim Cook couldn't be here this evening, but asked me to express his support for the report and funding going forward. And I have to tell you that one of my proudest accomplishments when I actually was director of the Lowell plan back in 1987 was to do the first cultural plan. And we actually had the Lowell Office of Cultural Affairs actually working out of the Lowell plan office. And I think after we, as a community, get finished building a first-class hotel at the time and the Wang Training Center, it was really important for us to start looking at culture and artist activities in the downtown area. So I think as a result of that plan, and then when we revisited it in 1994, and then the good work that the task force has done to date and will do going forward, I think that the history, the future for the artist industry and culture here is very, very bright, and we're very happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercier?
Thank you very much, and one of the things that I wanted to note, that there is one individual who I think I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge his contribution to where we are today. And although he's not here physically, I know he's here spiritually, and he's just smiling down on us, and that's Grady Mulligan for his contribution to where we are today. I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Anything further on the presentation then? So the subcommittee will be appointed this week, and we'll begin the work of implementation of the recommendations. Councilor Donahue.
Just last, in closing, again, many thanks to the community and to the task force. They're not off the hook yet, though. When the report is back, we'll be reconvening, so their job isn't done yet. But thank you sincerely for their attendance at these many meetings.
Okay, thank you all. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes from the April 25th meeting. Motion to approve the minutes by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. There was one correction noted by the clerk. All those in favor of accepting the minutes say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. Next matter under the city manager's portion of the agenda are two requests for out-of-state travel from the police department. Any objection to taking them both together? Oh, actually, there's
Two.
okay. First is a letter from the city manager. Dear Mayor and Councilors, attached is a request from Ed Davis, Superintendent of Police, to send two employees of the police department to Warwick, Rhode Island to attend the conference on managing the homicide investigation. Conference take place on May 1st and May 3rd. If you have any questions regarding this request, please let me know. The second request is a request, I think, from the planning department, a request to attend the conference on new urbanism, also for two employees.
Move approval.
Motion to approve the request by Councilor Armin Mercier, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay, the next item, at 7 o'clock, we can go to the public hearings. The first item is an ordinance. An ordinance amended the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, as amended by striking out Section 16, Section 16-9 thereof in its entirety, and replacing it with the relating to the transmission of false alarms, to be known as the False Alarm Ordinance.
Yes.
Second reading by title, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, as amended by amending Section 16 by striking out Section 16-9 9 in its entirety and replacing it with the following relating to the transmission of fire alarms to be known as the Fire Alarm Ordinance. Those wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Chief DeRoches.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I do come tonight to speak in favor of this ordinance. It is a culmination of a lot of work by the city solicitor's office, the police department, the fire department, MIS, and the city manager's office. We tried to work to create a document that would try to reduce the number of false alarms, which you know can be very expensive and numerous. And in addition to the cost, it ties up the apparatus and the abilities of the police and fire department to respond to other incidents. I think it's a nice document that will create the incentive to the larger property owners to maintain their systems and without having a significant effect or almost a minimal effect, if any, on single-family homes. We don't see this having an effect on them, except in the extreme cases. But I think I do support it. I think a lot of work, and it's basically like a three-strike rule, and actually it even goes further than that with some of the larger complexes in the city. So I do speak in favor of it. I think I hope the end result will be that it does, in fact, reduce the false alarms by by enticing the owners to better maintain and to repair their alarm systems rather than have them go off time after time again during the year. And I think this will accomplish that.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council? Councilor Rita Mercier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you may recall, like a month and a half ago, I made a motion in this regards to take a second look at this false alarm ordinance, which seemed to have been, directed towards the police department, but not so much the fire department. And it stemmed from a complaint from a resident who lived in an apartment unit with 21 other families in there. And the alarm went off 4 times in one weekend, and it was like too much, and we needed to address it and look at it further. I want to thank everybody involved, the solicitor's office, T.J. McCarthy. I know you were instrumental in helping out to update this and make this more public-friendly, because there was no rules or regulations pertaining to the fire department. And, we're tying up apparatus, we're taking time, valuable time that could have been directed elsewhere. People were not being responsible, and we're not talking about single families, we're talking about large units. And people were being laxed in the repairing of their alarm system and creating havoc here. And so this is a great ordinance revamping, and I'm thrilled that everybody was involved to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Motion to approve the ordinance by Councilor Rita Mercier,
Yes.
seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Roll call, please.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay, the second public hearing is a request by National Grid to place a conduit in Market Street. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Just name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Dave Aguirre, and I'm representing National Grid. And tonight, National Grid is asking for the permission from the City of Lowell to install a new conduit coming from a manhole that's between Worthen Street and Dutton Street. And we'd also like to enlarge the manhole that's between Worthen Street and Dutton Street.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Was the wish of the council. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a problem supporting this agenda item, but I know my colleagues have many complaints, and I'm going to give you mine now. Johnson Street in Pawtuckaville. I requested to have a street light installed on that street 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And the constituents I serve have told me nothing has happened. I gave that motion to the city manager's office, but we could spend an hour with the complaints about National Grid. They are not the same company that Mass Electric was. And I know they're stationed in England, but they do have paying customers here in Lowell, and we're not getting the service we deserve. And I'd like to have that addressed. So I know my colleagues will also give you a volley of complaints. Thank you.
Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. I know the last time a representative was here, we said that if these complaints weren't addressed, we were going to not look favorably the next time National Grid came in. And I don't know, the conduit, you don't want to, hold it against this Market Street project, but, at some point we got to draw the line, and it's not your fault, but it's just the company, and we've been trying to, I know TJ McCarthy has sent letters, made calls, we've done everything, including standing on our heads, I think. So at some point we have to draw the line in the sand. Now, I'm not saying let's not approve your petition tonight, but how do we get the message to them that we won't approve in the future? I don't know what my colleagues think, but it just seems that we're talking to ourselves here, on these. And they may seem like not big deals, but it's some of them are a few years that things haven't been done, or they've been completely ignored on a National Grid responsibility. So I guess I would, what's the conduit in Market Street for? Is it a new installation, or what is that you're here for tonight?
Basically upgrading the equipment on Market Street.
All right, well,
Upgrading, we'll be taking out some equipment that we seem to think it's necessary to have removed.
Well, I don't want to stand in the way of progress, but maybe what I would say that if we can ask a response within 30 days of these complaints, and if after 30 days, then we're going to hold up petitions until these things are done. Does that seem reasonable? How many repairs do we have, TJ? Is it like, there's a lot. It's 30 days. How about 60? Huh? We've got 50 things. All right. How about we say we'll give you 60 days to get these things done? Does that seem reasonable? I mean, they're fixing lights, they're installing lights, they're putting in light bulbs. Yeah. So I'll make that by way of a motion that we send a message to National Grid that the list of requests from the city have to be addressed within the next 60 days. Otherwise, we'll have to scrutinize every request that comes before us in light of their non-compliance.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion by Councilor Donahue to send a communication to National Grid with the list of pending issues to be resolved within 60 days, failing which future requests will be denied. Seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to second it, actually, but
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. It either, not necessarily tell them it'll be denied, but I think we could make it subject to or conditional upon clearing up the list that's been hanging around for 2 or 3 years. I think that's more than fair, and we've been more than reasonable. And there's a lot of constituents, as Councilor Caulfield said, that have been suffering and going without the service. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if National Grid has someone that goes around in the nighttime to see which lights are out?
No, they don't.
They don't. So how do we get them on?
He's got the list.
All right, well, if nobody does that and we're doing that through complaints and we're passing them to you, it's only fair that if you come before us for a request, that we in turn quid pro quo, that you help us to do what we're asking for. All right? Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, could we
Yes,
have this gentleman's
Mr.
name and address or email? Because I'd like TJ to get you the entire list, to get it to you. We've gotten it to you, the person who's supposed to be in charge, but nothing's getting done. So he doesn't come here on Tuesday nights, you do. And I don't think it's only fair that you have the list to work off of. So could you leave us a card or something this evening, and then he can get you the list directly tomorrow, directly to you, and then you can begin to work off of that yourself, because the higher-ups is not getting done, but then they're not coming here on Tuesday nights either, you are.
I know.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suggest to my colleagues and to the manager to invite that person from National Grid to the council meeting next Tuesday, and we present him our complaints, and let him know the alternative if that person doesn't agree to address those complaints.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to chime in, and we don't mean to shoot the messenger, but you're here asking us for something, and you're the messenger for National Grid. So, could you please put a poll, a light on poll number 191-17? I asked for this at least a year ago. But, I mean, we have over 5,000 lights in the city, correct, Mr. McCarthy? It's like 5,000 that we pay our bill for, and I'll presume we pay our bill on time, Mr. Auditor? How come you're smiling? But, you know, I mean, you know, I think we have to take some drastic measures, and 60 days, I think, is lenient. You know, we had, I have a report from about a little over a year ago on all the double poles in the city, and they're just hanging out there, and, I mean, it's just, you can hear our frustration. We don't mean to, you know, shoot you as the messenger, but, you know, we're shooting you because we're not getting any response to the administration. So I'm not going to support this motion tonight, and, you know, maybe your senior management need to hear that. At least in 60 days, I can assure you that, you know, future items are not going to pass. But I think we need to send a message. We've been, you know, we're like begging just to get service for, you know, for something that should be there. I just want to follow up on a question that Councilor Rita Mercia has. Someone may not be looking at the lights at night, but is there someone designated just for this city alone to put, I don't know, just put light bulbs in?
Yes, just two.
There's two people for the whole city? Does that
Well,
include?
they're on at night, and then they have crews called in if anything happens, but all the time, there's always two people on at night.
How come we don't seem to, Mr. McCarthy has a list of 50 items to be taken care of?
I don't have an answer for
Okay.
that.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some time ago, when we had the person representing Mass Electric, whose name was Mike Neptune, to me, he was unbelievable. You could call him up on the phone and tell him your problem for a constituent, he'd get it done. You'd have an event in the city, he'd be there. It was like unbelievable. There's Mike Neptune. I'm wondering, and I wrote this down because I was so perturbed to think that Mike had the audacity to leave Mass Electric, because we really had a good rapport with him. But then there was a Jeff Walz. Is he, W-A-L-Z, is he around, or did he get replaced by somebody else? Who is in charge?
I believe it's John Upham.
So Jeff is gone now, and it's the person's replaced by this other person?
Yes, John Upham.
And what is his name? Because I want to write it down. John, what's the last name?
Upham, U-P-H-A-M.
Oh, Upham, like Councilor Caulfield's grandson calls him Upham. Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, this matter is to be referred to the wire inspector. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. The matter is so referred to the wire inspector. Thank you very much. That concludes the public hearings for this evening. Back to the manager's portion of the agenda. The next item is a vote, a license agreement with Gary's Ice Cream. This is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement between the City of Lowell and Gary's Ice Cream, Inc. for use of a portion of city property adjacent to the premises at 127 Merrimack Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion to waive the full reading is approved. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement between the City of Lowell and Gary's Ice Cream, Inc. for use of a portion of city property adjacent to premises at 127 Merrimack Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Rita Mercia, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Anybody on the motion? Roll call.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue? Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Okay, the next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement between the City of Lowell and Tyler Perry Corporation doing business as the Dubliner for use of a portion of city property adjacent to the premises at 197 Market Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement between the City of Lowell and Tyler Perry Corporation doing business as the Dubliner for use of a portion of city property adjacent to premises at 197 Market Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating. Any questions? Motion to approve by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Caulfield. Roll call.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay, subcommittee reports. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received a letter from the family of, from the Judge Danis family of 14 Hoyt Avenue, and they were requesting approval to install a large stone and a plaque at their own expense on the grounds of Fort Hill Park in a little corner of Rogers and Hank Street in that particular vicinity, just a little spot. The purpose for this request was to honor the memory of tens of thousands of immigrants of the late 18 and early 1900s. It was through the extraordinary efforts to break free of oppression that fueled their desire to be free people who became honest, hard-working citizens. Judge P. Danis is just that kind of citizen. He was born in Greece. He entered the United States at the age of 15. He worked at the Lawrence Manufacturing Company for $3 a week until he was called to active duty. He was a veteran. He served in the war, and he was honorably discharged, and he served with pride in World War I. He was a member of the Transportation Division of the United States Army. He was a good soldier, a proud citizen of the United States, and he helped set an example for those who struggled to serve in the war and became an outstanding citizen in this city. He was an excellent family man and a businessman whose descendants live in Belvedere for over 90 years. They're still living there as we speak. In December of 1918, he established a thriving business on the corner of Andover and Willow Streets that still exists today. As new citizens, all immigrants had to learn new and difficult languages, raise families, educate their children, and he did all that. And he, at the request of the Judge Danis family, namely his son Arthur of Rogers Street, asked if we could have that happen. So rather than have a subcommittee meeting, knowing that the Board of Parks supersedes anything that we do as a subcommittee people, I attended along with Tom Belgard, the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, the last Wednesday in the month at 6 o'clock, and I brought this petition before the board, and they unanimously supported it. I have the report right here. This was a request, and the motion by Alan Miller, seconded by Mike Sullivan, to approve the request at no expense to the city. It was voted on unanimously. I then called a Parks and Recreation Subcommittee meeting with Councilor Kevin Broderick as well as Councilor Edward Bud Caulfield. I made the presentation. We took a roll call and they supported it as well. It would be an honor to present this to the council and have a roll call vote to see if we could have this become, have this happen for this family. So I'm asking through this report of progress if we could then have a roll call vote to make this happen for the family.
Hey,
Motion to adopt the recommendation of the subcommittee by Councilor Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Roll call.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez? Yes.
Thank you. On behalf of the family, I'm sure they're very pleased. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Additional subcommittee reports, Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. The Public Safety Subcommittee met this evening in follow-up to two topics that we had discussed previously. The first had to do with police staffing. We had been given reports in the past, including where we stood currently with police staffing and where in deployment it was presented at a prior subcommittee meeting. In connection with that, a request and motion was made for the department to report back concerning where we stood and the manager concerning the staffing for the upcoming year. Right now, the full complement at its height was 260 police officers. Right now we're at actually 238, I believe, with retirements. We would add 6 to backfill those. And that's the recommendation at this point. There will be a new police class starting up, and not just for our officers, but officers in the vicinity. And so at the present time, the number of new hires would be 6. And again, that's no increase to the budget because they're already in the budget right now. And that's the recommendation given the current uncertainty of where we stand fiscally going forward. But at the same time, replacing those officers who have either left or retired during this particular fiscal year and who have already been funded. There was some discussion as to when the police academy will start, whether it be June 1st or July 1st, and we'll get a report back as far as the impact if the date was changed from June to July. The police academy that is run by Lowell and has been for the past, I think 10 years, is one where area towns and cities, for example, Cambridge sends their police officers here for training. And this year we'll be sending, I think we were told, 15 officers. There's about 75 officers expected in the academy this year, and it's actually beneficial to the city of Lowell because they send not just their officers to be trained, but they pay for that. Thereby, the city doesn't have to pay for our own training. And they also give staff for training and so forth. So we'll get a report back on when the start date will be. The other issue that we discussed had to do with the 911 center. We had reports and discussions previously concerning the condition. There's some emergency repairs that need to be made. Some have been made since we last spoke about this at the subcommittee. There still is further work that has to be done, and what we had asked for because of the conditions of the 911 center in terms of overcrowding, really substandard conditions, and what, if any, long-term plan can be made either to relocate it to another location, or is that, does that make any financial sense to do that, and how much it would cost? What we asked tonight was to get a report back, and some of this will have to be done perhaps by a consultant or someone who is expert in this area in terms of these centers. They're not the type of thing that you can just shut down while you make repairs or while you move it. It has to operate 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So it does make changes difficult, complicated, and expensive. So we are awaiting a report back on that. We did ask for and receive a report as to what's the condition right now, how did we get there, what can be done to fix it. And we also asked to see what other departments have done. And quite frankly, many departments have built new stations that have state-of-the-art facilities for emergency purposes and services, and many right around Lowell, as well as Cambridge and Lynn and Boston have improved centers. And so we're able to see what it should look like versus what it looks like now. Unfortunately, it all takes money, and there is no, we're told, federal or state money for this, be it buildings or what have you. The fire chief did attend and gave us a report that he was at a Homeland Security meeting today where there was a discussion about regionalization of emergency response centers. There's some movement here in the Commonwealth as well to get those going, or at least there seems to be the beginnings of that. But again, Homeland Security is putting money into equipment and not necessarily into the bricks and mortar or new buildings. So that's a report of progress. We expect some reports back on those two items that we asked for updates, hopefully within the next week or two, so that we can finalize this report.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
This is not a subcommittee report, Mr. Mayor, but I just want to let the general public know that on Wednesday, April 26th, the subcommittee meeting that was planned between the Neighborhood Traffic Subcommittee and the Lowell School Safety Subcommittee was canceled because of the illness of a presentator for Safe Routes to School. The meeting has been now scheduled for Monday, May 15th, the second floor conference room at the school department, 7:30. Naturally, the public is invited to attend. And this is a very important presentation because there's federal funding out there to make safe routes to schools in Lowell and throughout the state and throughout the nation. And this community, Lowell, due to the great thanks to John Dakota and T.J. McCarthy and the manager, we are the only community that has applied or going to apply for this funding. It will help us with sidewalks, signs, and so forth throughout the city. Hopefully, we can get a good portion of this money, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept the Public Safety Subcommittee report as a report of progress by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Donahue. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The report is accepted. Any further subcommittee reports? Under petitions, we have one petition for a pole location from National Grid for a location on Willie Street and Quinby Ave to be referred to a public hearing on May 16th. Motion to refer that matter to a public hearing on May 16th by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Donahue. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing.
No.
May
I can hardly
16th.
wait.
We have one opposed. Under claims, we have one claim for property damage to be referred to the Law Department. So moved by Councilor Ramirez, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to the Law Department. Under the motions, first motion is by Councilor Caulfield. The City Council requests the City Manager have the City Manager add Manufacturers Street to the repaving list, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A constituent called me and complained about the street and about the second motion is about the dumping at the end of the street. And I don't think the entire street has to be repaved, Mr. Manager. Probably the first 100 yards into the street and 100 yards at the end of the street. The potholes are like craters. They're ridiculous. So anyone who has traveled on that street, it's off Plain Street. It's the entrance to the registry. And there's huge trucks coming in and going, and it's no longer a pothole. They're huge craters, as I would like to say, but I don't think the entire street has to be, just the first 100 yards and probably the 100 yards at the end of the street. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's adopted. Next motion also by Councilor Caulfield. The City Council requests the City Manager have the Health Department address the trash and dumping of trash at the end of Manufacturers Street. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been going on for quite some time, and it's a little wooded area. There's some nice condominiums there, but it's a wooded area, and everyone's taking advantage of it. There's shopping baskets, tires, gym sets, trees, Christmas trees, name it. People are using it as a dump. So I would like a sign installed, police take notice, no dumping, and also have the appropriate fine listed if they're caught dumping trash there. And if we could, have either Parks and Recreation or DPW go over there and give it a nice cleaning, because it's not going to get cleaned by anyone else. So I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's adopted. Next motion by Councilor Rita Mercier.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Excuse me, could you do the two of them together would be fine.
Okay. The first one is the City Council requests the city manager have the proper department address the concerns in the area of Moore Street and Meadowcroft Street, including speeding, noise, destruction of property. And the second motion is the City Council requests the city manager have the proper department install bollards at the corner of Moore and Meadowcroft Street in front of the townhouses, both seconded by Councilor Broderick, Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is in regards to concerns raised from neighbors in the area of Moore and Meadowcroft Streets. As you probably know, the location has many businesses on Meadowcroft Street and is a very heavy traffic route for trucks, especially trailer trucks making deliveries, which brings me to my second motion. When trailer trucks take an immediate right turn from Moore onto Meadowcroft Street, the turn is so tight that the back wheels run over and crush the fence that's on the corner. This has happened about 3 or 4 times already, and frustration is setting in to the residents, and I can't blame them, frankly. I went by today and I saw that it was rather pushed in and dented. This is usually done at night, so no one is held accountable to make right the damages that they have done. Therefore, I am asking this for the city to put bollards, which are steel poles, on the sidewalk so as to protect the property of the townhouses that meet this fate time and time again. And as far as the first motion, which addresses the need to look into the concerns with speeding, and I know that speeding takes place all over the place, but in this particular area, they're doing it quite a bit. It's a cut-through area, and the noise from the trucks entering the area at all hours of the night, letting their air brakes work, to the fact that when we talk about that immediate neighborhood, which we know is the Sacred Heart Church, and we know that it's been closed, and there have been people breaking into the church at night and causing destruction. This is what I'm hearing from the neighbors. They see these things happening. We need more police patrolling at night in that immediate area to enforce the noise ordinance where it applies to businesses that allow trucks to deliver at night and make a racket. So I'm asking, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager that each of the businesses in this area should receive a letter informing them of a complaint to the noise in the early morning hours, and put them on notice and introduce them to the noise ordinance that they probably don't have any idea that we have one. We need immediate attention placed in this area. This situation has gotten out of control, and that's what many people are telling me. I'm the messenger here. I don't live there, so I don't know firsthand. But, you know, where the church is closed now, there's destruction going on, and we need police presence there, and we need the noise ordinance addressed so people can get a good night's sleep. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motions are adopted. The next motion is by Councilor Donahue. City Council requests the city manager update the council on the fiscal 2007 city budget. Seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I filed this one to see where we stand in terms of when you think Mr. Manager will be seeing the budget, and we actually have a communication on our desk tonight asking if we can have that proposed budget online. I did look and see. I know Cambridge has they just put it online last week, actually, their 07 proposed budget. Their council hasn't acted on it, but they have it online for the public. I don't know whether MIS can do that when it's ready, but you know, in the past when the budget's been ready, people could go down and purchase one at the clerk's office. But not to get sidetracked, but if it can be done, I think it would be helpful if we can post it online so that, people don't have to come down to City Hall, they don't have to pay whatever we were charging. I think copying costs are $10 or something like that. We weren't making any money on it, we were just charging what it cost to produce. So if there's no objection, if we can find out if we can do that, I don't maybe we can, maybe we can't. But
if we can do it, we'll clearly do
okay.
it. TJ doesn't think it'll be a problem, but if we can do that, that's no problem.
And the other part of the motion was it seemed, I know that the state hasn't finalized their numbers, but could we have a target date to get the budget and set the hearings? My suggestion would be, is it possible to get it, in 3 weeks, going on the cherry sheets, and maybe that's conservative, maybe we end up with more money than we had, but we can always amend it, but chances are we won't end up with more money. I guess
we've got, we're probably, as far as our side goes, 3/4 of the way through it. So we're shooting to get. I'd love to get this. I'd love to get it done in May myself. So we're shooting to get for a May date, a late May date.
Yeah.
Clearly, just so everybody knows that there's no way that I don't think a final budget will be done by June 1st from the State House. There's been big differences between the governor's budget
Right.
and the House budget already.
Right.
Big differences to Chapter 70, big differences to the offsets and charges that they on the second page of the cherry sheet, which affect our bottom line dramatically. But we've made a lot of progress on the budget early this year, and I would love to. I don't think I can sit here tonight and tell you with all any the school budget is not done. I don't know when they're doing theirs. I think sometime in the middle of May, but. I would expect that we would pretty much be done our part of it, maybe even before the school's done theirs. When they get theirs, I've made it very clear to the superintendent that my opinion as we sit here, and when we sat here a few weeks ago with her, that they should not expect any more money from the city side. We're over the maintenance of effort numbers as is. And clearly, the charges that continue to increase on the second page of the cherry sheet affect our bottom line, not the school department. So we're doing the best we can. We've had a very good series of meetings with department heads. We're just about completed. We're now looking at the revenue sources, which the big one there is local aid, and we don't have a definitive number on that. That has changed a lot, and that is a little troubling because the changes from House 1 to the final House budget was pretty substantial. What the Senate's going to do, I don't know, and then what the conference committee will do, who knows? But I'm hoping to get to you before June 1st this year. Yeah.
Do we know what stage it is at the Senate right now? I mean, have they finished it yet, or?
The Senate has not begun deliberations at this point. The House voted on their final budget last Friday.
And how did we fare in that round?
Well, if you look on the front page, we lost about $34,000. I think it's around $80,000 in lottery money on the general government side. Chapter 70 money was cut pretty dramatically. Then they added some money back in late in the week. Did still not get them, I don't think, up to where the House 1 was. But unfortunately, on the second page, the offsets went up several $100,000. So that cuts into our bottom line on the front. So it's we're hopeful that the Senate goes back and although the House budget was okay to the city side, the effects it had on the offsets and on the Chapter 70 clearly impact us. So. I don't know.
Well, the intent is if we can shoot to get it within the next, I'm picking 3 weeks just because it's before Labor Day. We could look at it, set it for hearing, but we can always amend it. Or you could bring in an amended one if more money came in or something. I'm being optimistic,
sure
but
I'm shooting to have the budget to you to the council by June 1st.
Okay, and then if we can find out about putting it online, that would be
If we
great.
can do that, we'll do it.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I usually don't have a problem with the manager's budget. It's always the school department budget that I'm worried about. And Mr. Mayor, do you have any insight if there's going to be an increase in that budget over last year?
Well, as the manager indicated, he and I met with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. It was pretty clear in the meeting that there likely would not be any additional funding from the city side for the school department, that we would expect the school department to live within Chapter 70 increases. So, yes, I think the budget will increase, but I think, at least my view, only one vote out of 7 over there, is that it should be on the increase in Chapter 70 alone. Now, we've had dramatically varying presentations of what that increase would be. As the manager indicated, the governor's budget was higher than the House dramatically in the beginning. There were some House amendments at the end of their process that brought Chapter 78 up substantially, but still not to the level that it was on the House in the governor's budget. The Senate appears to be headed to add $200 million in increased Chapter 70 money. How that will impact Lowell, though, has not been definitively determined, so there is work to do. We would think that we're going to fare better on the Senate side, but I don't think there's any guarantee of that. But I think clearly the superintendent understands that there's going to be very little appetite here on the council to fund the school budget beyond what's the increases in Chapter 70.
I hope that they get the message, Mr. Mayor.
So, and we do have budget hearings scheduled in mid-May on the school department budget. Okay, anything further? Councilor Elliott?
I was just going to ask you the time frame that you have those scheduled, because if the city side, if I heard the manager correctly, we're pretty much ready to go. Or are we not?
I don't think I quite said that. I think I said...
Maybe that was my interpretation.
I think
like you, I'm eager to get it done.
Good progress. I would think within... I would think that by the time that the school committee submits their budget, we will have our budget complete.
And what are those dates, Mr. Mayor? What are the...
I don't have the exact
Okay.
dates off the top of my head, but they are in mid-May. There are several nights scheduled already.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion is adopted. Next motion by Councilor Armin Mercier. The City Council requests the city manager have the proper department place no parking signs on the island at 3638 Liberty Street. Seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier, Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you very much. A couple of constituents called me, and apparently where the Jehovah's Witness site was, there are condos there, and the people there are parking not only around that island on Liberty Street, but on the island itself. So if we could have someone from the traffic division take a look at it and put up a no parking sign, it would really help the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's adopted. Next motion by Councilor Armin Mercier. The City Council requests the city manager have the Historic Board provide a report on the status of the Father Garin Monument on Merrimack Street. Seconded by Councilor Milanazzo, Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you very much. The motion here is designed to clarify the protection of that church, the rectory, and also Father Garin's sculpture and monument that is on that site. As you know, we all voted unanimously to extend the historic district to encompass that site, which protects the architectural beauty of that church, at least the exterior, the rectory, and I suppose also the monument. And I just want to report from the Historic Board, that almost is a city monument because it was the citizens of Lowell that banded together in appreciation of Father Garin's contribution to the community, and not necessarily the Franco-Americans that funded that monument, and it was the city of Lowell citizens that had it erected and placed there. And it is not in danger at all being there. In fact, it's the proper place for it. I want to make sure that the Historic Board recognizes the fact that not only is the church protected under the Historic Board rules and regulations, but also that monument. A little bit of history, very slight history. Father Garin was solicited by the Archdiocese in 1800s to come to Lowell to minister to the immigrant population of Franco-Americans. They were at St. Patrick's Church, and the Archdiocese saw clearly that there needed to be some input for the Franco-Americans that were here. And one of the first things that Father Guerin did, actually, was he bought that church on Lee Street. It was a Protestant church at the time, and it was his first purchase to help minister to the Franco-Americans in the city, which is now, as we know, St. Joseph's the Shrine. That wasn't enough, and to the surprise of many maybe that don't know this, his first building was Immaculate Conception. Immaculate Conception's church was built under the auspices of Father Guerin and his ambition and vision for the city of Lowell. The second one, of course, was St. Jean the Baptist, and he patented that one after a cathedral in France. And anyone who's ever been in that church and sees this architectural beauty sees how important it is historically to make sure that it keeps being maintained, doesn't get demolished, and we are on that road to seeing that happen. Well, that also includes the statue of Father Guerin, and so I just want to make sure that we get a report so the general community will know that that is as protected as the church, and it's placed right where it really and honestly, truly belongs. The only reason why it should ever be relocated or moved is if it was endangered by the neighborhood or the fact that a developer was going to destroy it, demolish it, or do something with it. That's not possible. I spoke to the person who actually has a purchase and sale agreement, and he sees that as an asset to his site, simply because, you know, how many times can you buy a site that has a beautiful sculpture on it? And again, this was put there by the people of Lowell and not necessarily the Franco-American community. So I want a report from the Historic Board so everybody be made aware that that's not endangered at all. It is endangered, I should say, but it's not in danger of having anything happen to it. That's the purpose of the motion. And I would urge everyone, anyone who might be interested in history, to go to the shrine and buy the book with Father Guerin. And I'll tell you, it's an amazing book and an amazing contribution to the entire community by this priest. Things were written about him, and that sculpture was designed to say thank you for and memorialize him for everything he's done for the community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's approved. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we leave, I'd like to suspend the rules and bring in a last-minute motion for a man that came in here before everybody else got here. I think it's because I was here that he would have probably asked somebody else. And it's a motion to fix the pedestrian crosswalk signals at the corner of Middlesex and Wood Streets, and at the other corner of Princeton Boulevard and Wood Streets. Him and his wife cross the street there quite frequently, and neither one of those are working. And I did present to TJ so he does not forget about it. And having said that, the very last thing is I'd like to congratulate City Councilor Armin Mercier on his grandson Ron Mercier's great victory in Dracut, topping the ticket, getting reappointed to the school committee, as well as getting engaged. So congratulations are in order. I want to give you a round of applause.
He received a lot of help from the mayor's brother, believe me.
Motion to, Councilor Caulfield.
Just one last thing, Mr. Mayor. The council has received a complaint. It's pertaining to Mount Hope Street in a particular section of our city. I'll give you the letter, TJ. And the constituents are complaining about an individual who lives on Mount Hope Street and creating havoc with material and motorcycles and whatever. But I'll give you the letter, and I just want to let my constituent know I brought that up.
Okay. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The meeting stands adjourned.